So, Marcus, stop, breathe, and think. Tell me about this.
Indeed. So this came about, I was doing some one-on-one coaching with a lovely lady in Spain. And we were talking about just
the proverbial lady of Spain.
The proverbial lady of Spain. We were talking about just how general behaviors in the workplace and other people interacting and their behaviors were making, her react and become uptight and tense and either fearful and having to walk away or engaging and becoming fiery. And it all depending on who the different people were and the context of what was going on. So I talked to her and found out more information. I said, look, one of the things and techniques I use a lot is stop, breathe, think. She's like, what's that? I said, it's a Ron Seal, this is what it says on the tin, really. I said, just any situation where you're feeling you have to react or do something instantly, don't. Just stop, literally. Bring the barriers down yourself. You don't have to look like you do anything, but just mentally, physically stop. Breathe, just compose the old, 10 seconds worth of breath and think. And you can do all of that at the same time. So this can all be done in 10 seconds. But all that's preventing you from doing is that reaction that we know can be a catalyst to make things even worse. And she's like, I know, I did exactly the opposite of what you just said last week, and it all went off. And I ended up being the worst person in it because of how I reacted. And if I'd just done what you said, that would have allowed me to either respond better or to walk away, disengage, or just do something that wasn't reactive and therefore a catalyst to a bigger implosion. So it's something, and then I loved when I started working with you, the old think, write, share. I always preamble that to, well, the think's there. Before that, just stop and breathe. Then we can think, then we can do whatever we need to do following that. So that's where it came from.
That's so interesting. I've seen you do that. You practice what you preach.
Do you know why? Well, you know me.
Why?
I have to. You know what I'm like?
Well,
I'm an impulsive, reactive, fiery kind of guy. And, that stood me very well in the past. It's got me in trouble in the past. And therefore, as I've matured and as I've got older and as I've realized, it's a sort of personal tool that I've created that as the situation comes up, my brain's going, it's needed. Bring in the SBT. And then that's where it sort of stemmed from.
So how did you train yourself how to do that?
I guess, what's that old Dean Martin quote? You've seen it on my Instagram about, where does good judgment come from? Experience. Where does experience come from? Bad judgment. So I think I've learned it. I've learned it from my mistakes, which is obviously the best. We all make mistakes. And if you don't accept that you're going to make mistakes and then beat yourself up about them, you're not going to learn. But if you accept that, hey, we're human, we make mistakes, we try things. But then why did I make that mistake? How can I not make it again in the future? We're all allowed to make mistakes. If you keep making the same mistake over and over, then you're an idiot and you're not thinking. You've got to do something different. But if you make a mistake and then take stock and then put some mechanisms, a process, or whatever it is that works for you, I've got my own things. Other people have their things. I teach people other things that I wouldn't do because they don't work for me, but they're very bespoke and unique sometimes. But I think you've got to learn these things and then create whatever toolkit, if you will, from a mental perspective or physical that's applicable to what you need as an individual.
I think that's so powerful. I think that's great. I think we need to add that to our teaching of Think, Write, Share too. We need to talk to people about stop, breathe, and think, because you're right. I mean, it's having that mental pause as a decision maker can be so important.
Thank you for tuning in to The Thinking Leader. Check the show notes for more information about the topics covered in this episode. There, you'll also find a link to our free assessment. Click on it right now to find out if you are a red team thinker with a red team culture.